Hello and welcome to something new that we're going to be doing here on Drop the Ball. We're going to be highlighting all 30 teams as a preview for the upcoming 2026 season. My name is Matt Robison. Like I said, Drop the Ball, if you're unfamiliar, is a Kansas City sports podcast. So be sure to tell us how I'm going to be wrong this entire time. Comment below, and it's going to be something new that we're going to be doing on YouTube. So definitely let me know if I'm wrong, if you think I'm stupid, if you think that this is ridiculous. Definitely let me know. But we highlight a lot of baseball stuff. We work with Farm to Fountains on X or on Twitter. And so I just wanted to start out with the Los Angeles Dodgers, the World Series champions, the reigning back-to-back World Series champions, and the reason that a salary cap is probably going to happen in Major League Baseball. Although, the reports the past few days, the players are not for it. So we will see, and that is something we will talk about next year in next year's recap, as the work stoppage is probably going to happen. But we are going to highlight the 2026 season because we're going to have baseball now and we're going to enjoy it while we have it. So let us get started here. I am going to be using Fangraphs and a couple different other things, specifically for what you guys are able to see. It's Fangraphs, okay? So definitely give some love to those guys. If you need anything here, definitely go to them. Without further ado, let's start with the Los Angeles Dodgers, those World Series champions, those pesky, pesky Dodgers that have the number one farm system in all of baseball. And to just give a little bit of a preview of how these are going to go, I would say it's going to be looking at the superstars of each team. This team has a bunch of them, so we're going to be doing that. How the lineup looks, how the bench looks, how the starting rotation looks, how the bullpen, literally just a full throttle, every single thing here. And that's why you need to tell me when I'm wrong. Another thing here is that this is not my list here on Fangraphs. This is Fangraphs' list. So for the Dodgers, it's not really going to be that big of a problem because, their lineup's pretty much set in stone. For other teams, there's a lot of inconsistencies on whether they would be. I'm a Royals fan, of course. So I've seen multiple roster resources that have been nothing like what I think they should be. But with the Dodgers, this is going to be something good. So let's just take a look at what is going on. And then, of course, we'll end it with the farm system here. Because the Dodgers have the number one farm system in all of baseball. A lot of depth, and they do a hell of a job of developing. So let's get right into it. Looking at the superstars. And, well, first, let's get into the addition and subtractions here that ended up happening for the Dodgers. Let's start about the departures first. Starting with Michael Conforto, let's be honest with ourselves. He sat on the bench for $17 million, $18 million. That's not going to be a big reason on this team why they're going to be unsuccessful if he's not there. Anthony Banda was just recently DFA'd and traded to the Twins, and then Kirby Yates ended up signing a one-year deal with the Angels, actually. So he's no longer here, even though Kirby Yates wasn't really a big part of that bullpen, and that bullpen for the Dodgers in 2025 was really not that awesome. They had to use a lot of different depth. They had to call up a bunch of different depth pieces, whether it be from the rotation or XYZ. Had a lot of different injuries. River Ryan, XYZ. So, a lot of stuff ended up happening for the Dodgers here. When it comes to additions for the Dodgers, they're going to add, and they did that just again this offseason, signing maybe the biggest fish of the sea here. Kyle Tucker to a 4-year, $240 million contract. Yeah, that is why a lot of people are pushing for a cap in Major League Baseball. But also, I am also of the camp that, the Dodgers are spending money, okay? So you can't really get mad at them for the system that is there, So I totally am with you. But I'm also a fan of a small market team. So for me, I would love a floor at least. However, let's move on here. Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz was also added to this team, moving from the New York Mets, and that dysfunction that's over there, now he's decided he wants to play with the Dodgers. So Edwin Diaz signs a 3-year deal for the future here. And then Miguel Rojas, Game 7 hero for the Dodgers, not winning the World Series without him, my man. So he wanted to have one more year. I think this is going to be his swan song here. Of course, Kike Hernandez is also re-signed. Evan Phillips was also re-signed as well, even though he was non-tendered at the beginning of the offseason. So, okay, now let's look ahead to what this lineup's going to look like in the superstars, like what I was saying at the beginning. And this team... This team's got the superstars, man. I mean, the best player in baseball, the unicorn, the best player I've ever seen play ever. Shohei Ohtani. I don't think that it's any type of mystery that this man is a unicorn, so we can put it at that. Of course, we got Kyle Tucker here. We were just chatting about that. I think that he's going to be a crazy addition for this offense that didn't need a lot of addition. Of course, you got Mookie Betts, the aforementioned, traded from Boston. Now he's a part of 3 World Series championship teams with the Dodgers so far and going for a three-peat here. Freddie Freeman, he's reaching a little bit older in age here, but still rocking. We got Will Smith, Max Muncy, Teoscar Hernandez, Andy Pages, as well as Ha-Seong Kim. Another addition here, or not addition, but Andy Pages. If it wasn't for Andy Pages, I don't know if they're winning the World Series either. So that's another guy that is in their system that they developed, part of that great farm system that they have. And so personally, if you're looking at this Dodgers lineup, they're going to be good. I'm not going to waste any time being like, oh, well, I don't know. We had some inconsistencies from Mookie Betts last year for sure. Probably one of his down years that he's had the past few seasons, honestly. And if we're talking about guys that just continue to produce for this team, Max Muncy just continues to produce. And that's why he is still on this team. I think that there was probably a little bit of speculation whether he was going to get moved or whether they were going to make some arrangements to move on from him. But he's probably got another year or so with them, and we'll look forward to the future here in a little bit. But of course, Teoscar Hernandez was the source of some trade targets as well, because of the addition of Kyle Tucker and just the rumors around the league there. But I think Teo is going to end up staying there. Of course, like we said, Ha-Seong Kim as well. This lineup's stacked, man. I mean, if we're talking about best lineups in all of baseball, this one's up there. This one is the one. So I don't want to waste any more time chatting about how great this offense is going to be or what's going to end up happening. But I mean, at the end of the day, you've got great defense around the diamond. You've got some crazy hitters as well. I mean, what else is there to say? They won back-to-back World Series. They're going for a third. I think they're going to win a third, and they might be the reason why we get a salary cap in Major League Baseball. So we will see what ends up happening there. However, let's go down to the bench. We got Dalton Rushing here. Dalton Rushing should get a little bit of playing time here, but also you got Will Smith up here. So I don't know if what's going to happen with Dalton Rushing. They ended up moving on from Diego Cartiaga, who truly was one of their biggest prospects and has not really turned into anything with other franchises. So I don't know. I think Dalton Rushing definitely has a little bit more of a higher ceiling than he did, but we'll see. He might just need some playing time. The only thing with the Dodgers as well is you're not going to play DH. You got Shohei Ohtani. You got the best player, unicorn, like we said earlier. So you're not going to have to deal with that. You got Alex Freeland, who, like we were talking about with the Max Muncy, I think that Alex Freeland is probably going to be that guy that they try to move into that role a little bit more. So I do anticipate that Max Muncy is going to be on his way out, with Alex Freeland getting a little bit more playing time here down the stretch in 2026. And then Alex Call, they acquired him from the Nationals here at the deadline this past year. He's just great. I mean, they got rid of Esteury Ruiz and Justin Dean, who was patrolling their outfield here for a little bit there. And then, of course, the aforementioned Miguel Rojas returning as well. And Kike Hernandez is not on this list, but Kike is totally going to be on the roster. I don't know if they're not going to take another pitcher or what, but let's move on to the starters, though. I think that is, of course, where a lot of this comes in. I mean, they spend money. They spend money on the offense, and they spend money on the pitching. Of course, Shohei Ohtani is also a part of this rotation. Who knows what kind of pitching he's going to end up doing? I know he is not pitching in the WBC, the upcoming World Baseball Classic in 2026. And so we'll see what Dave Roberts ends up doing there. But still, without him even being a part of the rotation, they have a lot of depth. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the World Series MVP. I think that this man really proved in 2025 that he's worth that contract. He's worth that $325 million that they gave him. You look at Tyler Glass now, and Shohei Ohtani's right there. I'm just blind. Then you got Emmett Sheehan, who has been a really good option for them here. And then, of course, Roki Sasaki, the guy that everybody was talking about last offseason and speculating where he was going to go. Where'd he go? The Dodgers. They used him out of the bullpen in the playoffs a lot, so I think they're definitely going to be trying to use him as a starter down the stretch here. That's definitely where he would thrive the most, but he had some struggles starting at the beginning of the season, and so I think that they just want to kind of ease him in as best as he could. One thing that a lot of people I think don't really realize about Roki Sasaki is like, oh, everybody was talking about him, but like he was an amateur coming out last year. Like this guy's 24 in 2026. Like he needed a little bit of development time, regardless of how much he was dominating over in Japan. Like, truthfully, they need some time to develop. And I do anticipate Roki Sasaki being a very, very good pitcher for the Dodgers if he's not a part of a trade at some point. I know that Tarek Skubal was something they were discussing, and I'm sure Sheehan and Sasaki were a part of that, but we don't need to talk about that because they ended up coming to terms with Tarek Skubal, the Tigers did. So looking at that rotation, there's a couple of different guys as well. Of course, Blake Snell's on here. Can't believe that I'd forget about him. He's been his best, honestly, on the Dodgers. So for me, if we're looking at this rotation, like if they just don't get decimated with injuries once again, and I don't believe this is going to be a problem for them. I think it's going to be something they're going to have to be diligent with because, like we said previously, I do think it's been a problem previously. And without Clayton Kershaw, their franchise staple. I mean, this guy's a Hall of Famer, first ballot, one of the best pitchers of the generation, if not the best pitcher of the generation. And so they're going to be without Tarek Skubal. They're going to be without Clayton Kershaw for the first time in over 15 years. So I think that that could be something that rears its ugly head at some point, but I trust the depth that they have. They also agreed to Cole Irvin on a minor league contract here. Boys, I'm going to go ahead and let you know right now. I don't see him on this list here, but like Cole Irvin's going to make this squad, and he's going to make a couple starts. Like he's a lefty, used to play for the Orioles, played for the A's. Like my man, Cole Irvin's going to make some starts on this Dodgers team, and everybody's going to be like, where did he come from? Why didn't anybody want him? It's like, no, it's because the Dodgers do this every time. They can develop pitching better than anybody else, and so they're going to take your scraps and turn them into gold. So if you look at, what ends up happening with this bullpen as well, I think that the starters are, of course, most important, but you're going to get that depth somewhere. Heading over to the bullpen, one thing that I would notice here is Tanner Scott, truthfully, just not being an option that was reliable enough for the Dodgers last year. I mean, having an ERA in 4.7 in 57 innings, like he pitched a lot. He had a lot of saves, but like, if we're talking about somebody who you paid $72 million to come and close games for you, he was not good. Not good. So that's why they ended up getting Edwin Diaz. So another name to really look out for as well, Jack Dreyer. Ended up playing in 2025 for him. Ended up starting occasionally. Ended up pitching out of the bullpen a lot as well. I mean, a 2.95 in a first year of pro ball. I mean, prime regression candidate. However, if you take a look at what he's able to do for this Dodgers team, provide depth, provide starter bullpen flexibility. I mean, you don't really have any other lefties outside of Vesia, unless you want to put Warbleski back in the rotation. Like he is somebody that you can truthfully use however you'd like. Of course, Alex Vesia, and prayers and thoughts and prayers are with him, given his loss during the World Series. Couldn't be on that World Series team. He made a couple comments. I encourage you to go take a look at them. But Alex Vesia is one of the best lefties out of a bullpen that you can get. Has been doing it here for a while. So I do think that he's going to be a staple in that bullpen until he hits free agency next year. You got Blake Treinen, who signed a 1-year deal back with the Dodgers. Been a staple in that bullpen. But more importantly, I want to highlight Will Klein. I think Will Klein is somebody that can really go big for the Dodgers. 4 scoreless innings in that World Series Game 3 in 2025. Watched everything of it. I am personally a Royals fan, so it was tough to see him get traded away to the A's, and then he's made his way over to the Dodgers. So I'm glad to see his success. But he was somebody that me and Jackson, my co-host on Drop the Ball, we're talking about a lot, and on Farm to Fountains, our Twitter page here, we were talking about him a lot. So I really do think that Will Klein is somebody that can be a huge staple in your bullpen, especially one that was inconsistent in 2025 with the Dodgers. So I think adding him and having a full year of him and really developing him, I think they're going to get the absolute best out of him. Like Will Klein is somebody I would be highlighting to really take a step forward in 2026. And I could see him being one of the big dogs in the bullpen by the end of the year once Trinan and Vesia are free agents. Like he could be one of the guys that you really, really highlight. Justin Warbleski ended up getting called up, and is a starter originally. So he also is somebody who can pitch out, can be a starter as your depth there. However, their bullpen was so bad in 2025. He was one of those reinforcements that ended up coming up. And Ben Kasparius, yeah, just another arm in that bullpen. I'm not going to pretend like I know his work up and down, but he's definitely been somebody. He's a young arm that is been developed by the Dodgers. So who he is still untapped at 27 years old. So we will just have to see what ends up happening there. And I didn't even mention Tommy Edman when we were talking about stuff because he's not even up here. I mean, he's going to be that utility knife for them to play second, play center, fill in for injuries. Like the Dodgers have had some injuries the past few years. So I mean, I do believe that like Tommy Edman is going to end up playing. However, he had that 2-week stretch in 2024 that ended up getting him a contract. I don't know. Time will tell if that contract will be worth it, but the Dodgers got the money, so it really does not matter at the end of the day. Also, Bruto Gratterall. Oh my goodness. And Evan Phillips, of course, was added as well. So I do think that, of course, Evan Phillips is recovering from Tommy John, so we'll see what he ends up doing here. Now we're going to be looking at the top prospects for the Dodgers here. I'm using MLB Pipeline. You can use whatever you'd like. We were just chatting about Alex Freeland, about how he's probably going to be a part of this squad here moving forward. But if we were to take a look at the number one prospect farm system in baseball, that is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They got a bunch of guys up here. One name that pops off my head right out of nowhere here is River Ryan. I mean, my man, this guy had Tommy John and he had season-ending surgery at the end of 2024, so he missed all of 2025. And I've been a big River Ryan fan. I was trying to get the Royals to acquire him at some point. But he's one of those arms that the Dodgers are going to have that they're going to hold on to because they need depth. They went through a lot of injuries. That was part of the problem with their depth in 2025. So I think that River Ryan is going to be one of those options for them moving forward. That's going to be more than just an average option. I think he's going to be great. I mean, he had an ERA in the ones in like 4 starts in 2024. Like this man is, yeah, look at that. Like, come on. Anyway. So let's look at the rest of the prospects here for the Dodgers. Of course, highlighted by Jose DePaula and Zaire Hope, 2 guys that are in Double-A. Let's be completely honest with ourselves. The Dodgers have the flexibility to just let guys cook in the bottom of the league here. If these were prospects in the Royals system, if these were prospects in the Rockies systems, if these were prospects in the Reds systems, they would be at the top. They'd be getting an opportunity to play every day. But like we discussed previously, I mean, you got Kyle Tucker, you got Andy Pages, you got some options out there in the outfield, Teoscar Hernandez, that like they're just not going to come up. I mean, and yeah, they're not quite ready yet either. But like if they were in another system, they would be getting an opportunity, I think. But they are both still pretty young comparatively. So those are 2 to look out for. Eduardo Quintero is some dude actually that I'm not too familiar with, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, if we're looking at what he did in 2025, my God. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why he's going to be the number 3 prospect for the Dodgers and still at 20 years old. So definitely somebody to look up for in the future. Not for right now, though. I think one guy to really highlight is Mike Sirota. Holy crap! If you haven't seen the numbers on this guy, I mean, he had 1 year in minor league ball and he just absolutely went crazy. He ended up getting acquired by the Dodgers through that trade with Gavin Lux. They got a competitive balance pick and they got this guy out of him. Look how that looks now. He plays for somebody else. He plays for the Rays now. Gavin Lux does. So like literally, he just got bet. He was just kept hitting in the minor leagues. So I mean, Mike Sirota is gonna be some guy that the Dodgers are gonna turn into somebody again. I mean, they got outfielders galore. So like we were talking about here, they got the best farm system in all of baseball, and they keep winning World Series. I mean, I can sit here and just chat and talk about what this team is capable of doing or XYZ, but they're also set up for the future. Like they are set up to sustain this success and become a dynasty, unless like I think that there is not anybody that can match them right now. And it's not just salary cap. Like they definitely have the best farm system. Their development is one of the best and has been for decades. Their developing in the international pool has been incredible for decades, all the way through Fernando Valenzuela, all the way through Roki Sasaki. Like their development in the Latin Caribbean countries and territories and stuff like that is crazy. And there's just nothing else that you can say about the Dodgers except for they're the best ones that are here, and until somebody knocks them off, they're not going to. Or unless people step in and make it a little harder or a little bit better to be competitive for every major league franchise. Not saying that I think that a salary cap is for the best. I think that a floor is probably the best. But this is one guy I want to highlight. James Tibbs III ended up getting drafted by the Giants, was a part of that big Rafael Devers trade, going to the Red Sox, and then ended up getting traded to the Dodgers for Dustin May, out of all people. Proving that the Red Sox really didn't care about this guy at all. They literally just wanted to get rid of Rafael Devers. Here's the thing. The Dodgers are always looking for ways to take advantage of their opponents, always looking forward for ways to, be better than you, which is what all Major League franchises should do. Like we were talking with Mike Sirota earlier. Like, they literally just took him from the Reds for Gavin Lux, who's now failed and could have a better career with the Rays, I'm sure. But Mike Sirota is somebody that they just acquired, and they drafted him originally in the 18th round or something. It's one of those things that they see guys that they like, and they're going to highlight them. I think that they saw this guy in the Giants, and they're like, damn, we wish we had him. And then when he was available from the Red Sox, they immediately stepped in, and I'm going to make a prediction. This guy's going to kill the Giants. This guy's going to kill the Giants. I don't know when that's going to happen. He's 23. He's got some time. This guy's going to kill the Giants. It's going to look like one of the craziest trades looking forward. I'm telling you. It's going to be a couple years. But if we look ahead at some of the other reinforcements, a lot of their other guys are really a long way away. I mean, some of these guys, A level, double A level, high A level, they're all 20, 21 years old. And with the depth that the Dodgers already have, we're not going to be hearing from them, truthfully. The thing when talking about the Dodgers is I mentioned earlier that they are great at developing their own players. I mean, number 1 farm system in all of baseball, So it's one of those things that they are amazing at developing their own players. However, if you do take a look, and all these people that are potentially Dodgers fans that are saying, well, we develop our own guys. You say that we don't need the salary cap and blah, 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 blah. And we don't pay, we pay for people for sure. We play for big free agents, but we develop a lot of our talent. Yes, you absolutely do. I also mentioned that Michael Busch, Gavin Lux are guys that are failed people from the Dodgers that you traded away. One being Michael Busch, that has had great success in Chicago. But if we look at this here, who is a all Dodger product? Will Smith, absolutely. Andy Pages, absolutely. No. KBO. Like this guy's not developed by the Dodgers. He is developed a little bit at the major league level by him. However, and that speaks to how good they can be, but we also don't know what he is going to turn into. However, if you look at this here, they are taking advantage of other teams developing these players and then them paying them. And like, sure, other teams aren't paying them. That is another part of it for sure. But like Shohei with the Angels, Kyle Tucker with the Astros. Mookie Betts was a Boston player they traded for. Freddie Freeman, they signed him in free agency. Max Muncy, they revitalized his career, and they deserve credit for that, absolutely, because he was not this in Oakland. But like Teoscar Hernandez, they also paid for him. So like, it is part of the plan here that, yes, they are great at developing, and they're great at developing pitching and all of that, and developing position players. However, there is still part of this that they are buying a lot. And like, if they were not able to buy as much, what kind of talent would they necessarily have on this team? Like Gavin Lux just got traded again. Like, he is not a legitimate option. Like, does that mean Esteury Ruiz probably stays on this team a little bit more? Like, potentially. But, like, then you would have to be relying on those Michael Busch, Gavin Lux types that didn't work out for the Dodgers, and they gave up on them anyway. So, that's what I'd probably have to say about that. I'm not going to sit here and come at you with something that is absolutely out of the box, or I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I actually think the Dodgers are going to be terrible this year. No, like, I think they're going to be amazing. They're going to make it to the playoffs. Even if they do what they did this year and kind of slug their way into it, they'll still make it in, and then they'll still be competing. Who knows what happens after that, of course? Like, playoff baseball is playoff baseball. But, it is one of those things for me that I see them as winning the World Series until somebody knocks them off. Truthfully. And I think that nobody's going to take over from them until they want to, or unless the league steps in and implements a cap. Therefore, that's how they might be stopped. But they also have a couple different other things that I don't really want to get into the whole lockout type of thing, but like, they also make a lot of money elsewhere because of Shohei Ohtani, of Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Haesung Kim. They've really, really highlighted those international players to be on their team, and those fans watch them over there. Like, they made back Shohei Ohtani's contract within the first year of him being there, and they're paying him $2 million a year. Like, all of that money's deferred, and they made it all back already. I bet they just put it all in a bank account and just said, okay, well, it's all set now. We don't have to mess with it. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, they just do such a good job of highlighting what happens here. So they also get $300 million from their TV deals as well. Yes, they are getting more money than any other Major League franchise. And that is a problem sometimes, and I understand that. I do think that revenue should be shared a little bit. It's really unfair for the RSNs and all of these TV network deals that are just unfair to other franchises. I think that's really a big problem. I've been yelling and screaming about this for years, that whenever Disney bought Fox and then they had to sell off the RSNs because then it would be a monopoly, that's why they had to sell it to Bally. Once that happened, it just completely created a crappy system for watching baseball. But the Dodgers have their own network, Sportsnet LA or whatever, and they, of course, are the hot ticket, and people want to watch them. They also have Joe Davis, who is, he's the Vin Scully of Fox right now. He is Joe Buck of Fox right now, and he's their main broadcaster. So, like, they are highlighting a lot of, like, excellency, like, for sure, and that's what constitutes that price point, and why they make so much money. But there's a little bit of imbalance there. But let's get back to what I think this team is capable of. I do think that Shohei Ohtani is going to have an insane year again. Surprise, surprise. That's groundbreaking journalism, I know. I think Mookie Betts jumps back. I think Freddie Freeman's still going to be good. The only thing that I think that could happen on this team is I think Max Muncy might fall to the wayside. And he could prove me wrong when he hits 15 homers in the month of June, and then we're sitting here talking about something else. But I think that this team is stacked, and that's not groundbreaking journalism. That's not anything here. But like, if they're able to get Alex Freeland to produce it all, Dalton Rushing to do anything, they just have all the cards in their table, and they're able to play whatever they want. and they're able to do whatever they want. And they've earned that. Like, they truthfully have. So I'm not going to sit here and say that they are bad for what they're doing. But I think that's kind of going to wrap up what we're talking about here for highlighting all 30 teams. I'm not trying to make you sit here for 30 minutes with me. So I appreciate you tuning into us here. Make sure to like this video if you did like that. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and look out for these other 29 teams that we're going to be highlighting here. I might have some guests with me along the way. My co-host Jackson Wilkes on Drop the Ball might join for a couple, might have some friends. We will see. But I appreciate you joining me here for highlighting the 2026 Dodgers and what they're capable of. And thank you for watching.